Okay, good morning. So we're up to Shin Chof Hey Seif Ches. Davo she'ein b'chashash tzeda u'mechuba. There's something which has no chashash that it was trapped, it was caught on Shabbos, or if it was mechuba on Shabbos. Ella she'huva mechuz l'tchum. The whole problem is that it was brought mechuz l'tchum. Im heviu hein Yehudi la'atzmai. If the non-Jewish person brought it for himself, then mutar afilu b'bayom. Then you can use it even on Shabbos itself. But if it was brought for a specific Yisrael, then mutar l'taltel afilu mishuva b'shvilei. It's not a problem of muktzah, even for the person for whom it was brought. Avol lechol also b'bayom l'mishuva b'shvilei. But if it was a food item, then that person for whom it was brought cannot eat it. Ula erev b'chdei sheyasu. And the evening has got to wait the time it takes for it to have been brought. Says the Ramah, when do you start the b'chdei sheyaseh timer? Let's say it took 2 hours for the thing to be brought. So do you start it Motzei Shabbos? Let's say Motzei Shabbos was 9 o'clock, so then 11 o'clock would be okay. Or do you start the clock on Sunday morning? Because you can't really travel at night. So that's the debate. But if it was brought for Reuven, then Shimon can have it even on Shabbos itself, because it was brought for Reuven. And there are those who say that if it was brought for Reuven, he can have it straight away on Motzei Shabbos. There's no b'chdei sheyasu. And that which we said that another Yisrael can move it, even if it was brought by the Yehudi La'atzmai, Davka b'teich arba amas. Where can he move it? Only within Daled Amas, or within the city. Im hi mukefes chema, if it's surrounded by a wall. For hu shetei mukefes l'dira, as long as the wall is the city is mukefes l'dira, it's all for residential use. Da'inu sheyoshva ol b'sof hukva. People live there and then eventually build a wall around it. Well, stam ayoras mukefes l'dira, and some cities are mukefes l'dira. For some of Tzarim and other sort of strongholds, Ein Mukaf L'Dira, not Mukaf L'Dira. Okay, good. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Lamed Dalet. She'ein b'chashash. So, there's no chashash. This item was brought chutz l'tchum. There's no chashash of tzeda or of mechuba. Says the Mishnah Berurah, K'goyin dvarim acherim she'ein shaykh b'hem tzeda v'lekita. Right, for example, I don't know, a bottle of Coke. There's no shaykh tzeda. There's not shaykh lekita. Yafilu bahani at a shenikar and shalom nitzayid v'nilkut b'Shabbos. Or even if it was, but it's clear that it wasn't trapped or picked on Shabbos. V'chanach l'kam l'simin tov kuf tezvav. Muta hainu af b'achila. So if the guy brings it for himself, then muta af b'achila. Even for you to eat it, because it wasn't brought for you. The whole problem here is tchum. And therefore, it's only a problem if it was brought for you. But if it's brought for him, then you can use it. And if it's food, you can eat it. When it comes to tchum, we're makel. Because if it was brought for himself, there's no shayla of muksa. Shlein etzayid b'Shabbos, because it wasn't caught on Shabbos. V'after b'achila asurin oisi Yisrael, given the Yisrael acher mutarin ein olam shei muksa. And even for the Yisrael, say they brought a bottle of Coke from outside the Techum, and it was for Reuven, so it's not muksa for Reuven. Why? Because it's muksa for Shimon, and therefore that makes it no longer muksa. Dal ruim Yisrael acher, because it's muksa for another Yisrael. Avalechol also. So lamed zayin, so it's also to eat it lemishuva b'shvilei. So, for example, something was brought from outside of the Techum for a specific Yisrael, for Reuven. So then Reuven can't eat it. V'meviu b'shvil shnei bnei odom shnei dvarim. Let's say you've got 2 things brought for 2 people. Asurim lahachlif k'dei lahatzi b'achila. Reuven says to Shimon, "I've got a good idea. He brought 2 things. One is for me, one is for you. Let's switch it. So I'll have your one, you'll have my one, and therefore there should be no problem." So he says that's not allowed. Why? Because otherwise you'll just tell them the whole Kadesh Yasu concern is still there. And to sell it to somebody else, mutter to sell it to somebody else in a hetzdik way, that's allowed. Okay. So long as you're not making a profit. Okay, so again, we're talking about a situation where something is brought from outside of the Techum. There's no shaila of tzeda or of lakita, and therefore it's only a problem for the person for whom it's brought. But for somebody else, that would be okay. And if the guy brings it for himself, then it's not muktzah, and you can even eat it or whatever. You can use it, no problem. Lamed ches. It's only also for the person for whom it's brought. Says the Mishnah Berurah, "Lemishuv b'shvulei lamed ches u'mevuah lekam b'siman tov kuf tes vav du adin livnei veiso de'osa." It's not only the person for whom it's brought is it also because of Techum, but even for his family. And even for people who eat with him regularly. If you look at note number 40, he says, we're talking about people who regularly eat with him. So they're considered they're parts of his household, they're parts of his bubble, to use COVID terminology. And it could even include those people who happen to have been invited that Shabbos. If an Orach, a guest, comes punk that Shabbos, and if for them we make it, we allow them to eat it straight away after Shabbos. Because as we saw, there are those who allow it anyway, straight after Shabbos. Okay, weiter in Mishnah Berurah. If a guy brought it to be sold in a city where the majority are Yisrael, also lakol, to bishvil kulam heavy, because at the end of the day he brought it for everyone, which is for every Yisrael, and therefore it covers it answers all of them. And if you got the majority of people in the city are not Jewish, if it was brought on a ship above 10 tvachim, then it's mutter. Even if it even one time it didn't go, because once it goes below 10, then you got a Techum problem, even if it was only for a few minutes, for a minute. Even though the rest of the journey it was above 10 tvachim, also the Tata Chus Arbamas Ayin Shom, because you've got a problem of Arbamas. So again, what have we said today? We've said that if something was brought from the outside of the Techum, where there's no chashash of tzeda, there was no chashash of lakita, they didn't pick it on Shabbos, because it's just not that thing, it was a bottle of Coke, or if it was clear that it was withered and it was picked earlier in the week, then the person for whom it's brought, he can't have it because it's a problem with Techum, but other people can, and if the Ein Yehudi brought it for himself, then it's no problem. And even if it was brought for Reuven, there's no problem of muktzah, because it's okay for other people, and therefore it's not shaykh muktzah. Okay, then the first opinion of the Mechaber is, let's say the item was brought for Reuven, he's got to wait b'chtei sheyasu. Why? Says the Mishnah Lamates, hakol afio inyan shenasim melach b'Shabbos. How long is b'chtei sheyasu? Well, it depends. Depends what the malacha was. Let's say he brought it by way of a horse. So it could take an hour to ride in from the neighboring town. So then you got to wait an hour. It took 3 days to come in. So then, so you never have to wait more than 1 day. That's the max. Because even if it took 3 days to come in, the only chashash is the Issa done on Shabbos. So you'll tell him on Shabbos, the concern is you might ask him to do this for you in future. So we never ask, that's only never the knas is never the more than 24 hours. V'hainu, b'yodua meizi mokum hevi, we know where it came from. If you're not sure where it came from, then you just estimate where it came from. Okay. V'yesha imrim, that you don't have to wait at all b'chtei sheyaseh. That you can have it straight away on Motzei Shabbos. Sorry, that's the wrong Yeshom. Sorry, this Yesh Omrim and Mem is saying that you don't, when you start the Chodesh Yaseh clock, let's say it takes 2 hours to bring from outside of the Techum. So Yesh Omrim, that you only start on Sunday morning, not on Motzei Shabbos. Why? It says the Mishnah Berurah, because you don't normally travel at night. And therefore you're benefiting at the daytime. The Kadesh Yaseh clock begins at daylight on Sunday morning. Dehu chutz the Techum sphere lukein. Dafka is something which is brought from a distant way. Mishum de'ein derech laviu b'layla misham, because you don't normally travel at night time. Aval le'el, but previously we said that it was picked or trapped on Shabbos, but it was not from outside the Techum. Then they would agree that the B'chdei Sheyaseh clock begins on Motzei Shabbos. Because I'm Magen Avram, Dayom Shashleim Perek Pasach, sorry, Kisvar Rishayin Lehakel, i.e., that you start on Motzei Shabbos. Because the next Yeshomrim allow you to start B'chdei Sheyaseh, they don't hold the B'chdei Sheyaseh at all. So therefore, there's certainly room to makel and to start the B'chdei Sheyaseh clock on Motzei Shabbos. You certainly can be makel. Aval im hoyagam is a deraisa shelokat memechubas at chutz l'tchum, where he picked it from something which was mechuba outside the tchum. Yesh lahach mimikol makom ledvar mitzvah yesh lahakel b'chol gavni. So when do you start the B'chdei Sheyaseh? There are those who say you don't. For dvar mitzvah you don't need to, and if it's a question of waiting Sunday morning, again there is room to be makel to start on Motzei Shabbos. V'lacherim mutar. So if it was brought for Reuven and from outside the tchum, then Shimon is allowed to have it straight away. For him, even on Shabbos, the betchumin drabonon also lacherim rak mishum b'shviloi, because we're only asked for the person for whom it was brought. V'chein b'sha issa drabonon kudelakame b'sif yud. V'gam hevi gam derech rishus harabim. Ayin lekam and sif tezvav sif cotton ayin hev. Afilu betchumin yud beis mil are servant deraisa. Even according to those opinions that say that yud beis mil is a shaila of a deraisa, since it's not explicit in the Torah, therefore we're not machmir. Mutzle erev miyad, to have it straight away on Motzei Shabbos. Because the whole knas of B'chdei Sheyaseh is only for the person for whom it was brought, and therefore they can wait straight away. There's no, for the other person, you don't have to wait till on Motzei Shabbos. Uladina yesh lahachmir b'sfira rishona, ve'eli rabba b'shem bachum marshal, v'kosvu shekein masham b'simas ha'shulchan aruch l'kam siman tov kuf tezvov, v'koshkein b'tchumen d'yubeis mil d'yeshem d'iraita, i.e. that not like the second opinion that you can have it straight away on Motzei Shabbos, but you should wait B'chdei Sheyaseh. Okay, let's just finish the Mishnah Berurah. Mem Gimel b'toich arba amas. Now, even if it was brought for Reuven, let's say, so there's no problem of muktzah. But what does that mean? That means you can only move it b'toich daled amas. Says the Mishnah Berurah, the chol davar sheyaseh chuz l'tchum also l'tatze chuz l'arba amas, because if it was brought chuz l'tchum, you can only move it within arba amas. Afshe mutzah v'achile b'mokum, even though in the arba amas you can eat it. Im lo be'eshim mukevas mechitza nechshav kol eik arba amas. Unless, of course, there's mechitza in the whole town, which makes it like one big arba amas. Mukevas chay mevu adin kasher niskan b'tzuras ha'pesach t'choshav nami kol eik arba amas. So too, if there's a tzuras ha'pesach, that makes the city like one arba amas. T'koshkein bias v'chotzed the nechshav kol ha'hekaf ka'arba amas. Fine. So if it's brought into the house, that whole house is considered like daled amas. V'hu shetei mukefes, the im ein mukefes the dir, because if it's not mukef, aysheniach en Yehudi basada, if he leaves it in the field or something, ein lachevetz rak arba amas, then you certainly only can move it arba amas. V'im tiltel oisa echod amma ishtam, and if one guy moved it 1 or 2 amas, shuv ein rishai achel letat lirak ad tashlim arba amas, then the second guy can only move it the balance of the 4 amas. V'ayin lekam and siman tof aleph, hainu desham kosev lecher hefech zeh avalataz kos kvayishiv sham de loisasri adodi ayin sham. Okay, so just to summarize, that if an item was brought from outside of the Techum and there's no shaila of tzeda or lakita, then the person for whom it was brought cannot use it until he has to wait B'chdei Sheyaseh after Shabbos, according to the first opinion. And some calculate the B'chdei Sheyaseh from Sunday morning and not from Motzei Shabbos, because you wouldn't travel in night time. Others say no, you can just you wait B'chdei Sheyaseh Motzei Shabbos, and others say there's no problem with B'chdei Sheyaseh at all when it comes to Tchumen, only when it comes to other things of Lakita and of Tzeda. And again, it's only a problem for the person for whom it was brought. But if it was brought for Reuven, then Shimon can have it no problem. And it's not muktzah even for Reuven, because it's okay for other people. So therefore it's not a shaila of muktzah. However, you can only limit it to the daled amas, but that daled amas is quite broadly defined. The whole city could be daled amas, and the whole house certainly could be considered daled amas. Say that.